Are listening to Xposure on RadioX. I'm John Kennedy, and that is Editors with Frankenstein, one of the 3 new tracks that are part of Black Gold, the best of Editors, which has just come out. And I'm very pleased to say that Tom Smith from Editors is sat in front of me. Hello, Tom.
Hi.
It's great to see you.
Good to see you.
So I'm collecting the Editors set this year, it seems, on Xposure. So with the podcast that I do, take
like
notes.
Panini stickers.
Yeah, that would be good. I mean, I need to have a magazine or a booklet that I can put all the photographs in. But yeah, so for tape notes, I got to speak to Justin and Elliot, and then Russell and Ed came down to the Xposure summer party and had a chat with me in front of people. And now you're here on your own.
Yeah, I do like that. I do like the other guys, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't always get on my own.
No, it's fair enough. But I quite like the idea that I've seen you all in these different little groups. They're never in the same place at the same time.
Well, I think the tape notes thing specifically benefited from me not being there. Actually, it was really, and then I really enjoyed listening to it. So yeah,
that's great. That is really good, and it was very technical. And those chats for tape notes are very technical. Yeah. But I guess we're here to kind of look back, but also to think about the future, because you've put 3 new tracks on the collection.
Yep, we have, and
they all sound fantastic.
Thank you.
I really particularly like Frankenstein. I think it's such a dance floor number. Yeah, and I think it merits an extended remix or something.
That would be great. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Any offers out there? Anybody?
Not for Frankenstein at the moment, no. But that's something we should definitely pursue. Thinking about the shows next year, it's in the same key as Papillon. So I'm thinking about doing some kind of live mashup between the two. Yeah, like some extended fusion of those 2 songs. I think that will work.
Yeah, definitely. Fantastic. So, I mean, it's really interesting listening to Black Gold, because so many great songs are there, and it must have been a really difficult process trying to work out what to include. Yeah,
it was. It's been a bit of a journey. Yeah, it took me a while to come around to the idea of doing a best of. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
it was. I'm always a little bit uncomfortable with nostalgia. Always like to be looking forward, really, but yeah. So I don't know if I was persuaded around to it, or just I don't know. After a little bit of time thinking about it, and yeah, there was a symmetry to 3 records with Chris, 3 records with Justin and Elliot. Now it felt like the right time to put a line in the sand and just look back for a bit and appreciate what we've been doing for the last 15 years.
Yeah, totally. I think it's great. I mean, it seems to me after a certain amount of time, a best of or a collection, it does make sense for any band, because it's a taking stock and it's a great way of putting a whole bunch of great songs together for fans.
But one of the reasons you start a band is like the Lost Boys, like kind of to be forever, to be young, to stay young for as long as you can. I think that's a big way of thinking for a lot of musicians. And doing a best of is in some ways the complete opposite of it's acknowledging time passing, isn't it? Anyway, I'm honestly fine with it, John.
Yeah, an interesting idea. I'd never really thought about that, but so being in a band is like creating the Lost Boys.
Well, you're taking a step out of what is perceived to be the normal, the grind, the daily grind, the 9 to 5. You live most of your life after dark.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And yeah, just get to hang out with your mates for the rest of your life if you're lucky.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway.
Well, I mean, that's just it. There has been longevity to Editors, and it's still going forward. Loads and loads of massive shows lined up for 2020. As I said, loads of new material on this collection. But we're going to go back to the beginning.
Correct.
I was going to play Munich, which is one of the 2 selections from The Back Room, the debut album by Editors from 2005. Can you remember when Munich came out? Can you remember even the moment when you got Munich together as a band?
I remember first strumming the chords in me and Russell and Ed, who wasn't in the band at the time, but our shared house at university. So it would have been, we were living in Stafford at the time, and that was 2000, probably about 2000 actually.
Wow.
I remember sitting on my floor and strumming those chords and that verse coming together. I mean, a lot of the songs back then were very repetitive, I kind of just in the lyrics and things like Bullets as well. I find a theme and then I just kind of went with it. And then as soon as Chris came along with his kind of chiming guitar parts, which sat around my vocal melody ideas and lyrics, that record kind of came to life. Also, our neighbour at the time next door, next to my wall, came round and threatened to beat us all up because we were making too much noise. He was a horrible man, but he kept calling me Eric Clapton. Where's Eric Clapton? Where's Eric Clapton? Because of me sitting on the floor strumming songs like that. Anyway, yeah, I remember that.
Wow, that's amazing.
He was a horrible man.
Well, let's hear Munich then. This is Editors with Munich on Radio X. It is Editors with Munich on Xposure Radio X from the new collection, Black Gold, Best of Editors. It's just come out. Some amazing memories there conjured up, Tom, from Stafford. And to think that song or the riff dates back to 2000.
Yeah, just about, yeah.
Yeah.
There was, I mean...
So you're coming up, in a way, to a 20th anniversary.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I mean, we were signed in 2004, and Munich and Bullets was, two of the earlier songs that I wrote back then, and things accelerated a bit around when we finished university and moved to Birmingham. A lot more songs came through, and there's a bit more urgency added to the music, but yeah, I guess, that's scary. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, maybe a little ahead of ourselves, but in terms of...
older horses.
Yeah. We're going to carry on our conversation. We've got more selections from the album, and also you've brought an acoustic guitar in, so you're going to play us a couple of songs as well. So there's more from Editors on the way. It is the Racing Rats. It is Editors on Xposure Radio X. Great to hear that again. It's now part of Black Gold, the Best of Editors, the collection, which has just come out. I've got Tom from the band here tonight with an acoustic guitar. So in choosing what to go on the best of, I kind of did some calculations. I made some notes, and I reckon there are 3 from 2 albums, and then there are 2 from each of the others, and then just 1 from In This Light. Yeah.
I mean, it was tricky because in making the decision to make it a 1 CD thing, so it's about 70 minutes you have to kind of stick to. And of course you wanted every album to be covered. It's complicated with Editors as well because like the Best of Editors for Italy would be very different from the Best of Editors for Belgium, which would be very different from the one for the UK as well. So we had to kind of put some of those kind of concerns to one side and just tried to pick the songs which we thought just were big Editor songs. And there was only a short period of time when we had kind of hit singles, for want of a better word, but we have songs throughout our career which have resonated well with our audiences, So that's why things like Sugar and No Harm are on there alongside things like Racing Rats and Munich, So it's tricky,
Yeah, it is tricky. I mean, does it reflect a live set? I mean, pretty much most of those songs we would play most of the time, I would say. We've never really shied away from playing the songs that we're famous for. Obviously, when we play live, you weight the set for the album that you're promoting at the time, the new album, so there'll be more songs from the new record, whatever that is at that moment in time. But Bullets slipped out of the set for a while, but then it always has a habit of coming back. Yeah. How can you let that slip? That's amazing. But luckily, because you've brought the acoustic guitar, you're going to do a version of Bullets, I think. Yeah, I thought I haven't often done it acoustically. But yes, I'll do it for you now. Yeah. Fantastic. You can decide for yourself if it works. This is Tom then from Editors live on Xposure Radio X. If something has to change, then it always starts. If something has to change, then it always starts. You don't need this disease, not right now. Oh, you don't need this disease, no. think it works, Tom. That is Tom from Editors with Bullets on Xposure RadioX, acoustically yours tonight. And you were talking about Munich earlier, and how your next door neighbour came round accusing you of being Eric Clapton because you were sat cross-legged on the floor with an acoustic guitar. I mean, is that how Editors songs originally started?
Lots of them, yeah. I mean, I started to write more on the piano as well, but yeah, essentially it's either the piano or the acoustic guitar. And me sat around, I don't know, feeling sorry for myself or just hiding myself away. That first stage of writing is always quite just me on my own, and increasingly now I'll record my ideas on a kind of Pro Tools setup and develop them slightly more, and then when I take them to the rest of the band, normally 90% of the time these things go off in a very different direction to how I imagined, and that's brilliant. That's what being a band is about,
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's interesting hearing Bullets done in that way, because as the band on the record, it's so completely different, really.
Bullets is unturndownable. When you're making a compilation record, you have to get it all mastered again, so it all kind of sits next to each other, sonically and volume levels. Because over time, the loudness of records changes. It kind of got louder for a bit. Now it's kind of gone a bit quieter again. But so all the songs kind of have a different sonic quality. But Bullets, we had to ask for it to be turned down about 3 or 4 times, and it won't be turned down. So at whatever level you're listening to, Bullets will jump out at you. There's just something about that, the chiming nature, the tone of Chris's guitar on that recording is, it's what it is.
Yeah, fantastic. And of course we had our own very special, different interpretation just now. You're going to do us another song in just a bit. We're going to take a quick break. There's more from Tom, more from Editors on the way. It is Editors with Sugar on Xposure RadioX. It's another selection from Black Gold, Best of Editors. Tom Smith is my interview guest tonight. I'm John Kennedy. And Tom, you mentioned Sugar got included in a way because it was such a firm fixture in the live set, which is always interesting. I mean, now looking back at the 6 albums, and you do explore lots of different territory in those 6 records. How do you view them all? I mean, I remember at the time it seemed you were going on this kind of journey where you started to go more electronic, and then you weaved away from that, and then you kind of embraced other aspects of technology again with the last record. And it's quite interesting how, I mean, inevitably you're an artist and you're searching for inspiration and searching for new ideas and things that in effect excite you, and that you want to embrace those and try them out,
Absolutely. I mean, searching for new stimulus is so important when you're trying to create something, especially over a period of time, because the feeling of getting stale or repeating yourself is, I don't know, it seems to make the whole thing cease up. It doesn't really work for us anyway. And over the years, we have sought to, either work with producers that are going to push us into a different place, or put the guitars away, or, like you say, embrace different aspects of technology, or produce ourselves. So the sound is kind of weaved around because of that. Also through situation as well. I mean, with the 4th record, which kind of came back to the guitars, if we hadn't gone through Chris leaving the band and that whole thing happening, which took a long time to happen, that 4th record wouldn't have sounded like that. I don't think it would have stayed more electronic. But once we'd made the separation, and as scary and horrible that was, we had to kind of go, well, let's go back to basics in a way. And basics is the wrong word, but just embrace the kind of more traditional elements of being a band. And that's why that record felt quite traditional in comparison. I think that record actually feels quite like an odd one out in comparison to most of our catalogue, which is cool. But there's still some songs on it that are really important, which is why when we did come back with 2 new guys in the band, I think we were playing Sugar first at that time, with new people on stage, new sound. It was amazing feeling to have that song connect, because people were like, okay, this is new, but we get it, Well, it felt like some people were like that anyway. So it felt like, this song and these people were embraced into the band and what the band had been. And, now looking back, it's quite a long time ago. We've made 2 more records since that. But it was a big, scary time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how suddenly that becomes the past. Something that seems so huge at the time, suddenly, the years go by, and luckily, things have continued to grow, and the audiences have grown, and new people have got on board as well, and it's just carried on in the way that you would have hoped.
Yeah, absolutely. Always talked about the bands that we admired, and even just longevity itself. Being a band that exists for years and makes records and takes their audience on a journey, and might make mistakes, might have moments when they're cool and moments when they're not cool, or whatever, but just to be out there doing it, it was always something we aspired to do. And bands talks a lot about people like REM and Radiohead, and we played with The Cure this year as well, and those are the bands that we tried to emulate, I guess.
Fantastic. So you still have that acoustic guitar with you. You're going to do another song. What's the next song?
I'll do Smokers Outside the Hospital Doors. So.
Okay, excellent. This is Tom from Editors, live on Xposure, RadioX.
As fast as you can through this field of trees. Say goodbye to everyone you've ever known. You're not gonna see them ever again. I can't shake this feeling I got. My dirty hands have been in the walls. The saddest thing that I'd ever seen was smokers outside the hospital doors. Turn me around. Can I start this again? How can I wait? Where are smiles with our mouths wide shut? You stopped us from singing. I can't shake this feeling I got. My dirty hands have been in the walls. The saddest thing that I'd ever seen was smokers outside the hospital door. Turn me around. Can I start here again? Now someone turn us around. Can we start this again? We've all been changed from what we were. Our broken hearts smashed on the floor.
Fantastic. It is Tom from Editors on Xposure RadioX giving us an acoustic version of Smokers Outside the Hospital Doors, which is one of the songs that features on the new album Black Gold Best of Editors, a fantastic collection that comes paired, if you buy the deluxe version, with another album in effect, Distance, the acoustic recordings, which was recorded when?
So a few months ago, I went up to Doncaster with Elliot and Bryony, a cellist, to do some recordings of some songs in an acoustic kind of way. Justin's got a studio up there. So we spent a few days just, I guess, deciding what songs to do and how to do them. And over the years, we've done a lot of acoustic type performances of songs, and people seem to like hearing them that way. So it was nice to develop them a bit more with the cello. It was also nice to do some songs which I wouldn't normally do at all, things like Walk the Fleet Road or Let You Could Heart Lead You Home, and that's a really old song. Distance itself, there's a couple of other things that are slightly odder choices, rather than just doing, I know I just did Smoker's View, and it definitely works like that, but it was nice to do ones that people might not have heard done that way before.
Yeah, totally. I love it. I think it sounds fantastic. I was going to close our little chat by playing a selection from it.
Perfect.
And it is, because it's funny, because when I was having the chat with Russell and Ed in August at the Xposure Summer Party, and we were talking about acoustic performances, and it was just quite interesting because Ed, has a different kind of approach to it, and while he values that, also, I think he likes making a lot of noise with his drums. Of course, he's a drummer, yeah.
And also, Russell and Ed, for the most part, aren't involved in it. Because, bass in acoustic sessions is just awful for the most part. And we don't really need to do it with drums either. So, they're not involved. But one day we will, when the time is right, we might try and tour it properly. And they will be involved, because Russell's pretty good on the old piano and keyboard, and Ed can bang a tambourine or something. So one day they'll be involved more. When we do it properly.
Well, I mean, one always thinks of, say, Nirvana doing the MTV Unplugged, and then Dave Grohl's drumming on that, and him doing the backing vocals and everything. It's kind of entertaining just watching him.
There's an intimacy to those type of performances which. Obviously we like the big rock show and playing loud and kind of be creating this huge thing, but more and more I'm attracted to like having a moment with your audience that feels more intimate, and there's a different type of connection, and people see you in a different state, more vulnerable perhaps, or
totally. I mean, there's a place for jumping up and down, and then there's a place for intimate, for intimacy, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and also, we're all, getting nearer 40 these days. To sit down for 2 hours rather than stand up is, I guess I sit down every night.
It's a joy. Yeah. So I was going to play Walk the Fleet Road from Distance, the acoustic recordings, because I really love this song, and it's great that you were highlighting it on this, and this version is really, really good as well.
Okay, thank you.
But it seems to hospitals feature, because there's a mention of a hospital.
Yeah, because you can see the Royal Free from Fleet Road.
Yeah, and so I'm trying to, and you've got smokers outside the hospital oils. You seem to.
Yeah, I mean that's. I'm a bit of a morbid son of a gun sometimes. Well, I definitely was back then. I mean, obviously the second record, a lot of the lyrics, the imagery on that, and it was a time in my life when I was really feeling like these experiences were coming closer to me. I was experiencing things for the first time, really, having people get poorly and passing away. So that kind of got reflected and carried on a little bit into that third record as well with this song. But it's more kind of just because it's pretty close to where I live, really. So that kind of late walk home from the pub, kind of a drunken fight,
Yeah. But somehow what I like is that in many ways hospitals do feature in our lives. They do become signifiers in some kind of strange way, and it's quite refreshing hearing them referred to in song. I think it gives a sense of difference to what you do.
Amazing, yeah, thank you.
So, but I'm just thinking, imagine if a whole album which referred to hospitals maybe wouldn't be such a good idea.
No.
I don't know.
No, might be a bit morbid.
Great to see you, Tom. Thank you so much for coming in. Thanks for bringing the guitar with you as well. I'm going to play Walk the Fleet Road now from the acoustic recordings, the Distance album that you have to get with the deluxe. And who's playing on this again? Let's hear their names.
So on this song, I'm on the guitar and the piano. You might hear Elliot's voice on this one, I think you do. And Justin was just recording us, really. I don't think he's playing at all. He's just behind the glass. and Bryony's playing the cello.
Fantastic. And this is it. Editors with Walk the Fleet Road on Xposure, Radio X.